Hello, everyone, and welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a bi-monthly virtual talk show created out of the need for a global learning community focused on topics in education that directly impact Caribbean nations and diaspora nationals working across the globe. EduTALK features teachers, principals, administrators, business leaders, and dignitaries who share their expertise on critical topics facing education today, with a common goal of moving education forward and our students upward. My name is Dr. Dwayne Dice, your host. I am founder and chief executive officer of Education Solutions International, Inc. Please visit educationsolutionsinternational.org to learn more about how ESI supports students, educators, and school communities. And please subscribe to receive ESI updates. Today on our program, we have with us Mrs. Beverly McNeill. And Mrs. McNeill is going to talk to us about Early Head Start program. But before we bring her on, we want to welcome you this month of March, as Women's History Month. And we are featuring, she is our first guest for Women's History Month. And we're featuring Women's History Month as a highlight for all women who have been doing tremendous work in our diaspora as well as around the world. Women's history, just a short history on this Women's History Month. It started off in the 1970s, late 1970s, as Women History Week, which was celebrated somewhere around 1978. And then International Women's Day was on the week of March 8th. Somewhere on March 8th, it was celebrated in the 1970s. And actually it started in California, Santa Rosa, California. And then in the 1980s, they have this thing about Women's Week around the week of March 8th. And that turns out, with a lot of fight, of course, lobbying in Congress, signed into law Women's Week. And then that gradually changed in the 1980s to Women's Month. So they have quite a bit of struggle. As you see, the struggle is real when it comes on to making things purposeful and creating a day or a week or a month for anyone, including women. And we're going to explore all of that this month and to look at pioneer women in our industry, education, as well as science and business and entrepreneur and so on. Okay, so we want to welcome Mrs. McNeill to our show, EduTalk, and we want to also welcome our viewers. And remember, guys, if you have any question, any comments, please drop them in the chat here in this platform. Welcome, Mrs. McNeill, to EduTalk.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's very good to have you on here. And I know that you have a very wonderful story, your background. So I want you to tell us just a little bit about yourself, because I know you are part of the University of Delaware Head Start program, early Head Start program there. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about you. If somebody says, who is Beverly McNeill? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that it began with my mother and father. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but yes. My dad is Jamaican, mm-hmm. From Kingston. My mother is British from London, mm-hmm. and my stepfather is from Nigeria. Oh. He is my dad.
Oh, so, okay.
Yes, he's raised me. We are in contact. Mm-hmm. He's a wonderful man. Mm-hmm. I'm also a wife of 30 years
Wow.
Um, I have 7 children
Mhm.
and 6 grandchildren.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. That's really, we are from a big family too, with my twin brother, and there are actually 10 of us from my mom. So
Wow.
yeah, and my dad, just like your dad, he didn't raise me. So
Hmm.
I didn't know him. I met him for half an hour in
Yeah.
my life, but I know of him, and
Yes.
I have an aunt who really came to know me and so on, and we're very close. But my dad, no way, because I think he was married when they had us, so
Mhm.
they didn't want anything to do with us. My
Uh,
twin brother and I. So do you make connection with your dad? Do you have any?
I actually tried last year,
Yeah,
right during COVID when it was
yeah.
bad. I tried to make contact.
Mhm.
Even my son, my oldest son Trayvon, had paid for an investigator for me, but
Wow.
they found him, but we never got a response. So I just say it's okay. I have my dad that raised me
Mhm,
and
mhm.
loves me, and I have God. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you it's one of those stories about fathers, and I know quite well.
mhm.
Biologically, because we have people who raise us and we call them dad or mom, and they're
Yeah.
not biological, but they are the real one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so you spent some time in Nigeria.
Yes.
How long did you stay there and around what age?
From the age of 9
Mhm.
to 15,
Okay,
I lived
okay.
there. Yeah.
So what would you say about the culture of Nigeria? Because I'm fascinated by Africa in general. But Nigeria, what did you learn
I
there?
learned to be humble,
Mhm.
and I have learned to be I want to say respectful, not only respectful, it teaches you to not take anything for granted.
Mhm.
And it gives you a desire to help people
Mhm.
and to be I can't think of the word, I'm sorry.
Is it like community oriented where people help?
Yes, it's more like if before you get home, if you do something wrong, everybody scolds you before you get in the house. So
My
you
God.
don't only get it from your mom and your dad, you get it from the community. Your community is your family also.
So it's true then that this saying I think originated in Africa that it takes a village to raise a child. It
Absolutely.
does take a village.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really remarkable. I used to tell people in America here, just stop using that phrase because it doesn't mean the same to you. It doesn't take a village here because if a teacher talks to a student, the student will say, "You're not my mom or dad."
Yeah.
But in our culture, Jamaican too, and we're African, and in Africa, uh, if a person in the village or in your city or so on or community tells you, hey, what you're
Mhm.
saying there doesn't it's very disrespectful and you need to stop. No matter who the person is, you listen to them.
Yes.
Yeah, so that idea there, village or a community to raise a child, it's more applicable out there unless people are gonna follow that here.
Yeah.
Then they use it and it has meaning. Right. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your background with us. Um, you have been a part of this Delaware University of Delaware program as the family support for the early Head Start program, family support.
Yes.
What exactly is this program from the University of Delaware?
Well, it started with Head Start back in 1960, I believe it was 65, 1965. It started as a federally funded program.
Mhm,
And it was just to be as an experiment.
mhm,
But it worked out so good that till today, it has helped so many people. What it is we're getting children ready for school readiness. So from the time they're in their mother's womb, they call it from birth to 5, but it's okay with the early childhood education piece that I do. is from birth to 3. But however, we still help the pregnant moms and educate the pregnant moms on how to take care of themselves and their unborn baby.
Oh.
Until then, when they have the baby, all the way up to they turn 3, we provide them with different resources, and we help the children with developmental needs, like their social, emotional, cognitive, fine motor, or everything. So even if there is a slight delay that the parent may say, oh, my baby isn't talking like I see other children her or his age talking, we can give them a referral that helps them to bring somebody in, a speech therapist, that will help their child get to where they need to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So from the 1960s, and it starts with before the baby is born. So pregnant women will get enrolled. So there's a certification program for this. Like you have to be, no, not certification, registration in the program.
Yes, they have to register for the program. Sometimes there's a waiting list. Sometimes they can get in right away. But we do keep in contact with the parents and let them know, what steps that they need and what forms they need to fill out. But usually the children that are of low income are a preference first, because this helps them, with getting like different, say if they can't they can't afford to provide diapers for themselves, we can give them the diapers. We can help them with clothing and send them to different agencies where they can get this help.
So pertaining to the program itself, and I know it's in Delaware from the university. Is it in other areas, not just Delaware? How widespread is it?
It's across the United States.
Okay.
Across the United States. A lot of people sometimes they only think of Head Start as Head Start, like a preschool program.
Right.
Yeah, they don't think about the early Head Start before the Head Start.
Okay.
So that's where we come in and we promote early Head Start to help them to get to the Head Start program.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I learned about Head Start, I had no idea that there was an early part to it. Because I knew as a teacher of Head Start, and there's certain schools that they're in and they're a part of. So so you explain the early part of Head Start. So give us some idea of the age range of students. Let's say the baby is born. When does that baby become a part of early Head Start and then merge into Head Start?
Okay, the day the baby is born. As long as mom has registered, has been in the program, she can get right in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just hopefully there's a family service worker that has a space on her client list, because we have 12 to 13 clients each. So as long as there's space, they are automatically put in and will start receiving services.
Oh, okay. That is very interesting. Okay. All right. So when does it stop at 3 years old? Because I'm thinking that's preschool.
It does stop, but we help them with the resource to get them into Head Start. Like we can refer them to Head Start programs. So it will continue, it will continue.
Yeah. A lot of women really need to know this, because many of them, they struggle by themselves, thinking that there's not enough help, especially before schooling and during those early years when they have work and they can't go to work. They take off from work to take care of the baby, and sometimes they have no help from the fathers.
Yeah.
But they really want their child. They love their kid. And they want to take care of their kid.
Mhm.
Okay. So do you provide what sort of educational programs do you provide for the students and the mom?
Okay.
Or
So
even
what
before they have the baby?
before they have the baby, a worker will go out to the home
Mhm,
and they will, work with mom to help mom find the resources that she needs.
mhm,
Say if mom needs a breast pump or needs different kinds of things like a crib, we can provide all those services to her. Not only that, we set goals with the parents.
mhm,
Before I have this baby, I want to go back to school. I want to do this. We help her to find the way to do that. We
mhm,
don't just hold their hand, we encourage them. So by us encouraging them and letting them know that they can do it, it builds up that confidence for them where they go ahead and do that and complete their goals. So we're always um, setting goals with our parents and documenting the goals with them so
mhm,
that they can see their progress. Even if it's something like getting their room complete for their baby or just getting a bag of diapers and they don't have the money, we
mhm,
can show them how, there's a program also called Stand By Me. This program will help them with providing a savings plan, a job plan, all kinds of things like that. So it all meshes together,
mhm.
all the community coming together to help this one parent. But the thing is, they got to tell us because we can't read minds.
Yes.
So if you tell us and explain to us what you want to do, we can work with you with putting the plan together and helping you achieve your goals.
Wow. Okay. It's really good. So this targets what set of people? Is it like low income people, or everybody can join?
It is for low income, but they do have a percentage where they will accept people that are, are
Mhm,
maybe financially there,
mhm,
but need the extra help. It depends. It really depends on the family.
mhm. So in your location where you are, about how many? What's the population that you service?
Okay, so there's five, we have five family service workers.
Mhm,
So 5 times 13, that will
mhm.
give how many families that we serve.
Oh, wow.
Then also we also have two daycare locations that they have. Not only do we go out to the homes, but they do have daycare locations that are like for Head Start, for
Mhm,
the Head Start children.
mhm,
So, but I don't know really the process with that, but I do know that as soon as they turn 3, we'll get a worker from the daycare call us and ask us if the parent is interested in enrolling their child, if there is space. So that's how we go about that. If not, we take it upon ourselves to search out the closest Head Start program
mhm.
and help to get them enrolled in the Head Start program when they turn of age.
Okay, okay. And that turn of age would be around 3.
3. Mm-hmm.
Around 3, okay. What's the difference between Head Start, just the Head Start, not early Head Start and pre-K?
Well, the Head Start, it gets the children ready for pre-K because the
Okay.
children are old, they're older in pre-K. So
Mhm.
it's like that 2-year window. So they're 3 to 5. So it
Yeah,
helps them like with their numbers and colors, their fine motor, their
right.
sensory and stuff like that. So when they do go to, you know, um, to pre-K, they're ready to fully be.
They're ready. They're ready
And
for
yeah, they're
learning.
ready.
Oh, okay. It's very interesting. I hope many people will take up the initiative to get educated before formal education.
Yes. I
That's important.
I wish I would have known about early Head Start when I had my children. I never knew of it. And it was around
Oh,
and nobody told me. And it does take the stress away from the mother or the father that is caring for their children. Because
yeah,
they
yeah.
know what steps to make Because when you're by yourself, you really don't know, especially being a new mother. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but it's just like it takes away a lot of stress and anxiety. So
very, very true. Very true. I can feel it. So my question to you now is, what are the struggles do you find that you are faced with in this program?
At times you can have a parent that is, I want to say, not so truthful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where they will say they're in need of something. And you go above and beyond for this thing, but because they know that we can provide that, they will say they can't get it. So it's like you're taken away from somebody else that does need, to somebody that really doesn't need it. That's one thing that hurts me, because I feel like, be truthful, we can help you in other ways. But if you don't need that, please just remember there's somebody else out there that does need it.
Yeah. So dishonesty among the part of parents.
Yeah.
What about, do you have like background checks and what do you call that, to check in on finances and so on, how they work? Do you have some form of background checking system to find out if what they're saying is true?
Well, the thing is, when they start the program, they do ask them for, like, okay, can we see your pay stubs and stuff like that? Or with, certain different identification like WIC or medical, to prove that they are in this bracket.
Do you think when you were growing up, were you looking to be in education?
That is a really funny question to me, because my mom was a preschool teacher.
Ah, okay.
And I remember going with my dad, and we would sit in the car and waiting for my mom to come out of school at the end of the day, when all the children, this was in Nigeria, when all the children would come out, and they would all run to my mom. And I would get jealous, like, why are they taking my mom? Leave my mom alone. But I think at that point, also, even being little, that's what I thought I had to do. Because even I have a sister that is a teacher. I have, aunts that are teachers. So it's in our family.
Right.
So, but I always wanted a lot of children.
Yeah.
But to be a teacher, I never really thought about it. But I can say this, I volunteered. This was my daughter. I have a daughter that's 31. She'll be 32 this year.
Yes.
And I volunteered, and she was in fourth grade. No, she was in second grade. And I volunteered in the fourth grade, because they never wanted the children to be in the classroom with their parent. So they would put me in the fourth grade class. And I just fell in love with children.
Oh, okay.
And from there, I just, to this day, have been working with children. So
wow. So that is so like a calling, so like a vocation, instead of you preparing yourself for this job, like many of us go to school and say, I want to do that, and I'm going to prepare myself for it. And that's what I go for. Like people who want to be lawyers or doctors and so on. That's exactly what they train themselves to do. But this is more meaningful. I should probably ask you if it's more meaningful to you, because you actually, it's a part of your nature to be nurturing and caring, and you have it on display.
Yes. Oh my God. To this day, I feel that there are teachers that are meant to be teachers, and there are teachers that only just in it for a job.
Yes.
And I feel the ones that are in it for a job, please leave it
Mm-hmm.
and go follow what you need to do, and let the teachers that are in it for their heart and their passion stay.
Yeah.
Because I have seen over the years so many things that have hurt me and also given me joy with
Yeah.
being with these children. Like when I said I volunteered in this fourth grade classroom, I have an example where it was the end of the school year. I was just a parent volunteer in the classroom, sitting in the back of the class.
Mm-hmm.
And some children would come to me and just talk with me. And there was this little boy, till today, this haunts me
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know where he is. I don't know what became of him. But this boy has to be in his 30s now. He has to be a young man now.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to me at the very end of the school year, the very last day of class. And he said, "Miss McNeill, how did they pass me and I can't read?" And I didn't know what to say. So I said, "Come with me, let's go to the principal's office." So I'm thinking he's going to give us resources. He looks at us and he says, "Oh, it's not my problem. Go to the library. I'm going on vacation."
Wow.
And my heart was just, I looked at this boy and I didn't know what to say. And I, till today,
Wow.
and all I was a parent volunteer. And I'm trying, I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of those. In Florida, I've seen it. In DC, where I used to work before moving to New York,
Mhm.
it was better than Florida. But Florida, they were passing on the kids. They couldn't even read so much.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't, I,
that's crazy.
there's no way. There's no way. And the thing was, his mother wasn't around and he's living with his older grandmother. And
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
I have, if it's okay to share another
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
So I was in a preschool class. Now this is, years now. I'm in a preschool class teaching my preschool class. And I had these two brothers. Well, I had one brother in my class that would come and his little brother would cry every morning.
Mhm.
So I said to the mom, I said, "Let him come into my classroom. He can eat breakfast with his brother. He can, stay with his brother. And I'll let his brother walk across the hallway to the class to walk him to class."
Mhm.
So this happened maybe like 2 or 3 times before the teacher got angry at me. If she didn't realize this boy was more calmer, he would walk with his brother. She was mean. She came to the classroom. She snatched him out the classroom. "You
Mhm.
will come to your classroom. You will not go to Miss McNeil's classroom." But all this time he was calm. All you could hear was him crying. And my heart was like, why would you do that to a child?
Mhm.
His brother at lunchtime, this little boy was so smart. When it was time for, nap time. When
Mhm.
it was time for nap, he would lay on his cot. And I would say, "Come over here." Because he was so smart, I
Mhm.
started teaching him addition, subtraction, multiplication, and he was catching up with it so fast. So when you see where you can help a child in either a mental way, physical, just do it.
Yes,
There's
yes.
so many people that they just put up this wall, and like I said, it's just a job to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's just I can't understand how people are. It's like no compassion, no
Yeah.
love. And they look at these little children, and I always say, when you yell at a child that is so smaller than you and you tell them you're gonna, I hear people say, "I'm gonna punch you in your face," and all that.
Mhm.
Think
Mhm.
of a monster.
Yeah.
This little child is looking up and
Mhm.
seeing somebody 2 times, 3 times bigger than them. and you're yelling those words to them.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you wonder why children are acting out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you find that the the ones you help, they're better off in terms of the emotional support that you give them, that
Yes.
them finding, they're struggling out there and trying to make it. Do you find the emotional part of them, including the kids, but I'm talking about the mom, if
Yeah.
they're more comfortable
Yeah.
afterwards.
You end up, everything is built on a relationship. So
Mhm.
if you can teach these people, our clients,
Right.
that, okay, if I say I'm coming at 10 o'clock, you respect their time and you be there at 10 o'clock. If you say you're going to do something, do it,
Yeah.
because you're only building that trust with them. And as long as you build that trust with them, they will do what, if you say, okay, we're going to do this and this and this, and you're going to end up getting this,
Yeah.
that will happen. That brings me to, I'm sorry, I got one more.
No, sure, sure. Yes, yes.
So this is when I was in Philadelphia working.
Yeah.
I was working in early Head Start there also. I had a client that took an online course to finish high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, she said, Miss Beverly, they're not accepting my diploma. Everywhere I go, they tell me it's not a true diploma. So I said, where did you get? She said, I sent this place they were sending me work. I was sending it back and they told me I graduated. I sent them all this money. I said, did you check it out first? She said, no. So right when I was in the home, I pulled up my work computer and I put in the name of the school. The school came up like a legit, it looked really nice and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
online classes. So I
Yeah.
said, let's call the Better Business Bureau
Ah, yes,
out of Texas.
exactly.
That very day, we found out it was a scam.
Oh my goodness.
This man had put the school together and scammed so many people.
Oh my.
And I had to tell this lady, like, I'm sorry, but what happened, we used that and we turned it into a teaching tool.
Yeah. Yes.
Always research what you want to do first
Mm-hmm.
and then go for it. So what we did, we made a plan. I came back the following week and we went to the school district of Philadelphia and we enrolled her in school. She was going 2 times a week. And by the end of the year, she had her diploma. So, and today she's doing really well. So
Oh,
the thing
good.
is, so it's like you see where your work, but I don't say it's my work, I say it's God's work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have that passion and love for people and you follow through, you help so many children, so many parents. So that's why I just say, like, you have to have the passion for it. If you don't, you can't really help nobody because you're not even helping yourself because you're not being truthful to yourself.
Yeah.
So that's how I.
Yeah, that's very true. I was gonna ask you about, yeah, the people, about the reaction and benefits that they got.
Yeah.
If somebody is starting in a school, that is, if you have a bunch of schools all over,
Mm-hmm.
and an educator want to start early childhood, they want to the early head start program.
Mm-hmm.
They want to become or bring it into their school. Can
Mm-hmm.
can this happen?
I'm sure it could happen, but you would just have to model it after
Mm-hmm.
the program because you can start your own program.
Okay.
As long as it's just like you could say, oh, in America or in Texas, or even though Texas is in America, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna model it after the Head Start because it's so,
Mm-hmm.
it's proven to work. So why not start our own
Yeah.
and model it after that?
Yeah, because I'm thinking like in Jamaica or some
Mhm.
Caribbean islands or even in Europe, tiny countries, um, they might have the capacity to start
Mhm.
something like this to get students up to par with
Yeah.
performance, education and performance before they go to. And I'm thinking right after the pandemic now, moving into the recovery stage, that the loss of education
Yes.
to these students and family want to know, we need help.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm wondering, if they could start something like this and get students more prepared.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
could. They just have to write their plan and start it, because everything starts with a pen and paper.
Oh, okay.
So you just gotta, you gotta think, you gotta put it together, get the right people. Don't get people that just want jobs. Get people that
Yeah.
have the children and families and want to work with them. Because if you get that, it's gonna be an amazing program.
Mm. It
Because
seems so.
yeah.
It seems so. Um, do you have it pertaining to Women's Month and Early Head Start program and being involved in early childhood for so long?
Hmm.
Do you have a woman in history that you can look back on, or even a woman now that you
Hmm.
can look back and say that that person inspired me. That person really gave me, even though they might not have spoken to you directly,
Hmm.
or in person, but we have all these people who are talking, and they're in history, and you get some story from them. You like, one of my big um, influential woman in my life was my grandmother.
Hmm.
She informed my whole development.
Hmm.
Even if she's not here, she's back in Jamaica now.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes we talk, but from early out, I grew up with her, and she gave me almost everything that I needed to
Yeah.
sustain my own development,
Hmm.
those unwritten rules and so on. So do you have somebody like that in your life who inspired you, or continue to inspire you?
I would say my mother,
Mhm.
Linda Hughes. She's no longer with us.
Oh, okay.
But when she was here,
Mhm.
it's you look at them as just being mom.
Mhm.
But when they pass and you see everything that they did for you and everything that they did for other people,
Mhm.
then you realize, wow, what an amazing person that I was. It was a privilege to be her daughter. Like,
Yeah.
it was an honor, because this lady, she had me at the age of 16,
Mhm.
and she did everything in her power to keep us healthy and well and educated.
Mhm.
So I would say my mother.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Mothers are very powerful beings around us, because they when they have a phrase in Jamaica, when I was growing up, they said that if your dad disowns you, your mother cannot.
Yes.
Right? And that's a very deep, compassionate connection to women,
Mhm.
from child to mother. What do you talk about, in terms of, like, when you go to these families and you you see how they are reacting to the program, or some people you really want in the program,
Mhm.
and they're not buying it at all. What do you say to them when you know that they need help, and you're seeing them backing out, or they're trying to not want it seems like it's a burden on them
Mhm.
to take up another initiative, you
Yeah.
know if you ever had that experience with anybody who,
Of course.
I'm not going to be a part of this, how do you go through that in terms
What
of motivation?
what I've learned is you give them their space.
Mhm.
You meet them where they are. If they say they don't want the program, then they don't want the program. But the
Okay.
thing is, what's going to happen is you just check on them. Are
Mhm.
you okay? We just wanted to see if you needed anything. Then they start to oh, then they start calling you little by little. And then you ask them, would you like us to come? Are you ready for the program now? And I would say 80 to 95% of the time, it's always going to be a yes.
Yes.
Because what it is think about this. We're coming into your home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, but I'm letting you into my home for an hour and a half every week. So it's like you have to build the relationship with them. Once you build the relationship, it may start off small, like, oh, you can come for 30 minutes. I have to go pick up my kids from school, or I got to go do something. But then it gets longer and longer. And then before you know it, it's the whole. So like I said before, it's just building that relationship with them and letting them trust you, and you talk to them and treat them. You don't treat them like they're lower than you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to treat them on your level.
True. So, it's very true. That's very true. I hope people will understand that it's building community a lot of times, and relationships. That's very, very true. So winding down here, and I want to tell our viewers that we're discussing early Head Start. It's not just Head Start, but early Head Start with Beverly McNeill, Mrs. McNeill. What advice do you have to say to give to families? And then I'm gonna ask you also, so that's the first part. And then what advice would you give to educators in general, like teachers, because they need to know about this too, and how they approach education for early childhood families in general, the mother and the students. So what advice would you give to families?
Be willing to try new things and learn people, because we're willing to learn from you too. Yeah. That's what I really would say, because sometimes you will miss out on a great program. Mm-hmm. Because there's so much that you can learn and do. Also I forgot to mention, with early Head Start, our parents get the training to interview the people that come into the program. Oh. It's called Policy Council. So when they will ask you, do you want to be a part of Policy Council? They will give you training. They send you away to hotels at times to go take this training. You come back and you're like on the board. Mm-hmm. So we have to get the approval by the parents before a teacher or a worker in the program is accepted. If the policy councils, if one person says no, then no. So it is a good program because they work with parents. They let the parents have a voice. A voice is always needed. Even with raises, it has to come from policy council, has to approve it first. Oh, wow. Yeah, so the parents are very, very much involved with the program. It's like run by the parents, but we're the teachers. Yeah. But the parents have a voice. That's really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a team effort. Yes. Yeah, that's pretty good. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing about early Head Start program. I wish that I'm hoping that we can have more of these conversations around early childhood education to get people aware of it, because we're not going to stop having children, and the problems that are around us now, there's still going to be some of those problems later on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, with lack of proper parenting, lack of resources, it's going to happen again and again. So it's so important for us to partner up and create some of these programs for our students. Mrs. McNeill, thank you so much for coming on. Yes, and I want to thank also our guests, our viewers. Thank you for joining us. This week is the first day actually of Women's History Month. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you learned something.
If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. And if you also have comments, drop them in the chat. EduTALK is a subsidiary of Education Solutions International. And you can visit Education Solutions International on the website, educationsolutionsinternational.org, and you subscribe for updates, also for ESI initiatives, as well as resources and events. Quite a few events happening in Women's History Month and months following that. You can also watch the recording of this video, as well as other videos on the YouTube channel, ESI YouTube channel. The name of that channel is Education Solutions International TV, okay? And so all of us viewers, we have a little treat for you guys right after this. It's on Grace Jones, and many people probably don't know of Grace Jones anymore, but she was a very famous model, and she was an actress as well, but model, yes. And she's actually Jamaican. So she's settling now somewhere in the world. I don't even remember now. But we're gonna feature her in her little slideshow video right after this. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, okay? We're gonna put it on right after this. All right, so Mr. McNeill, take it easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes, all right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Grace Jones was born in 1948 in Spanish Town, Jamaica, the daughter of Marjorie Williams and Robert W. Jones, who was a local politician and apostolic clergyman. The couple already had 2 children and would go on to have 4 more. Robert and Marjorie moved to the East Coast of the United States, where Robert worked as an agricultural laborer until a spiritual experience during a suicide attempt inspired him to become a Pentecostal minister. While they were in the U.S., they left their children with Marjorie's mother and her new husband. Jones knew him as Master P and later noted that she absolutely hated him. As a strict disciplinarian, he regularly beat the children in his care, representing what Jones described as serious abuse. She was raised into the family Pentecostal faith, having to take part in prayer meetings and Bible readings every night. He initially attended the Pentecostal All Saints School before being sent to a nearby public school. As a child, Jones was shy. She had only one school friend and was teased by classmates for her skinny frame. But she excelled at sports and found solace in the nature of Jamaica. Marjorie and Robert eventually brought their children, including 13-year-old Grace, to live with them in the U.S., where they had settled in Linkport, Salina, New York, near Syracuse. It was in the city that her father had established his own ministry, the Apostolic Church of Jesus Christ, in 1956. Jones continued her schooling after she graduated and enrolled in Onondaga Community College, majoring in Spanish. Joan began to rebel against her parents and their religion. She began wearing makeup, drinking alcohol, and visiting gay clubs that were brothels with her brother. At college, she also took a theater class with her drama teacher, convincing her to join him on a summer stock tour in Philadelphia. Arriving in the city, she decided to stay there, immersing herself in the counterculture of the 1960s by living in hippie communes, earning money as a go-go dancer, and using other illicit drugs. She later praised the use of LSD as a very important part of her emotional growth, and the mental exercise was good for me, she said. She moved back to New York at 18 years old and signed on as a model with Wilhelmina Modeling Agency, a well-renowned international agency throughout the world. She moved to Paris in 1970, and the Parisian fashion scene was receptive to Jones' unusual, androgynous, bold, dark-skinned appearance. Yves Saint Laurent, Claude Montana, Kenzo Tadaka hired her for runway modeling, and she appeared on the covers of Elle, Vogue, and Stern modeling magazines, and working at Helmut Newton, Guy Bourdin, and Hans Buhr. Jones also modeled for Zadina Alea and was frequently photographed promoting his line. While modeling in Paris, she shared an apartment with Jerry Hall and Jessica Lange, top models during those times. Hall and Jones frequented Le Sept on Paris, most popular gay clubs in the 1970s and 80s, and socialized with Giorgio Armani and Karl Lagerfeld. In the 1970s, Jones appeared on the cover of Billy Paul's 1970 album, Ebony Woman. Jones was signed to Island Records, who put her in the studio with disco record recordings. She produced multiple records and is most well known for her music. Jones has produced 15 albums, several of which were on the top charts. With anti-disco sentiment spreading, she continued her rise in music, but then started to explore acting. She appeared in movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she's also appeared in many movies, like Love Bites, sci-fi. She's appeared in vampire films. She's actually very prolific. Grace Jones has always kept her relationship with Jamaica very close to her. Thank you, Grace, for everything that you've done.
All right, there you have it, everybody. Grace Jones. We want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for coming on, being with us this evening. And stay tuned to EduTALK. We will have another show for you next week. Okay? Have a great and wonderful week, everybody. Walk good. Take care. Bye-bye.